Imagine your sister stealing $95,000 from your wedding fund, your grandmother's legacy, for luxury bags and a Tesla, then standing up as maid of honor to toast sisterhood. That's exactly what happened to Isabella. If this betrayal boils your blood, hit like and stick around to see how justice crashed her speech. I'm Isabella, and sharing this still hurts, but exposing Sophia's betrayal freed me. Thanks for letting me tell my side. Let's dive in. The microphone squeaks as Sophia adjusts it, her perfectly manicured fingers trembling just slightly. I sit frozen in my chair at the head table, my grandmother's pearl earrings catching the soft light of the crystal chandeliers, watching my sister prepare to deliver what everyone expects will be a heartfelt speech about sisterhood and love. But all I can hear are her words from 30 seconds ago, whispered with venom as she brushed past me. "Your wedding is boring, my followers needed content." My hazel eyes lock onto hers across the reception hall filled with white peonies and eucalyptus garlands. She doesn't know that I know. She doesn't know that 2 weeks ago, I discovered every single transaction, every lie, every stolen dollar of our grandmother's legacy. Sophia smiles that practiced influencer smile, the one she's perfected for her 50,000 Instagram followers, and begins to speak about family bonds and sacred trust. The irony tastes like copper in my mouth. Because in exactly 37 seconds, when she reaches the part about always being there for each other, I'm going to show our 200 wedding guests exactly what kind of sister she really is. 3 months earlier. The number glowed on my laptop screen like a promise: $95,000. Available balance. I leaned back in my desk chair, surrounded by the quiet hum of my home office servers, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: hope. Real, tangible hope. The money represented everything. My white hat hacking contracts with 3 major banks had been lucrative, but the real foundation was Nana Lucia's inheritance. When she passed 2 years ago, she left equal amounts to Sophia and me, but mine had grown through careful investments and those late-night security consulting jobs that paid more than my day job at the library ever could. The Rossi Family Legacy Fund, I'd labeled the account, honoring Nana's final wish that we always take care of each other. She'd made us promise, holding our hands with fingers worn thin from decades of pasta making and sacrifice, that we'd use her gift to lift each other up. The wedding was just the beginning. Marco and I had planned everything carefully: the ceremony at St. Catherine's, the reception at Villa Montclair, but most importantly, what came after. This money would move my mother Alina into Sunrise Manor, the specialized care facility that could actually help manage her multiple sclerosis. The doctors said the physical therapy program there could add years to her mobility. I pulled up the Sunrise Manor website again, scrolling through photos of bright, accessible rooms and reading testimonials from families whose loved ones had thrived there. The monthly cost was steep, $3,200, but with my combined income and this nest egg, it was finally possible. Sophia had her own inheritance, of course, but she'd burned through it within 6 months on what she called investment pieces for her lifestyle brand. Designer handbags, a new camera setup, that disastrous attempt at launching a jewelry line that never sold a single piece. But this fund was different. This was our future, our family's security, our grandmother's final gift of love wrapped in financial stability. I closed the laptop and walked to my bedroom, where my wedding dress hung like a cloud of ivory silk and French lace. In 3 months, I'd walk down the aisle knowing that for the first time in years, everything was going to be okay. 2 months before the wedding. "Bella, we need to talk about the money." Sophia perched on my kitchen counter, her long legs swinging as she nursed a matcha latte she'd insisted I make with the expensive powder she'd brought. Her dark hair fell in perfect waves, the kind that took 2 hours and a professional blowout to achieve. "What about it?" I asked, though something in her tone made my stomach tighten. "The separate accounts thing, it feels wrong." She set down her mug and fixed me with those wide brown eyes that had gotten her out of trouble our entire lives. Nana always said family comes first. Remember her exact words: "In any emergency, you support each other, no questions asked." I did remember. I also remembered that Sophia had been the one to drain her own inheritance on a trip to Dubai that she documented extensively for her social media. The accounts aren't really separate, I said carefully. We both have access to our own funds for whatever we need. But that's just it. What if I need something? What if there's an emergency? Her voice took on that particular pitch that meant she was building toward something. Having separate money feels so transactional, like we don't trust each other. The guilt hit exactly where she'd aimed it. Sophia had always been brilliant at emotional manipulation, but this felt different, more desperate. What kind of emergency? I asked. I don't know, that's the point. What if Mom needs something the insurance won't cover? What if one of us loses our job? What if... She hopped down from the counter and grabbed my hands. Bella, I just think Nana would want us to pool everything, like a real family legacy fund. I stared into her face, seeing echoes of our grandmother in the curve of her cheekbones, the determined set of her jaw. Nana had made us promise to take care of each other, and wasn't trust the foundation of family. You'd have equal access, Sophia continued. We both would, complete transparency, but it would be asterisk ours asterisk, not yours and mine, the way Nana intended. 20 minutes later, I was at the bank, signing papers to merge our accounts. Sophia chatted easily with the banker about the wedding, about family traditions, about how wonderful it was to see sisters who truly supported each other. As I signed my name on the final form, giving Sophia full access to $95,000, she squeezed my shoulder and whispered, Nana would be so proud. I believed her. 2 weeks before the wedding, 11:47 p.m. Routine, that's all it was supposed to be. A quick check of our joint account balance before finalizing the last vendor payments. The florist needed her final installment, and I wanted to transfer money for Mom's first month at Sunrise Manor. I logged into the account, expecting to see the familiar comfort of that 5-digit balance. $247.83. I stared at the screen, blinked hard, refreshed the page. $247.83. The number didn't change. My hands started shaking as I clicked on the transaction history, and that's when I saw it, a graveyard of transfers, each one a small death of trust. August 15th. Transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, $8,500. August 18th. Transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, $12,000. August 22nd. Transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, $6,750. August 25th. Transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, $15,200. The list went on and on, a systematic draining that had been happening for weeks while I'd been focused on wedding preparations and work deadlines. Each transfer carefully timed, never quite large enough to trigger the bank's automatic alerts, but together they'd gutted our entire future. My laptop screen blurred as tears started falling. I clicked through to the linked credit card statements, and the purchases appeared like evidence at a crime scene. Bergdorf Goodman, $3,200, Chanel bag for content creation. Four Seasons Resort Maui, $8,900, wellness retreat for brand partnerships. Tesla Model Y down payment, $15,000, sustainable transportation for influence. Each purchase was tagged with business justifications, as if she'd been planning to write them off. As if stealing from her sister's wedding fund was just another business expense. I scrolled back through her Instagram, seeing the past month with new eyes. The designer outfits, the luxury resort photos, the unboxing videos of products that cost more than most people's rent, all of it funded by the money our grandmother had left us. All of it stolen from our mother's future care. The worst part wasn't even the money, it was the captions. Photo after photo of her blessed life and manifestation journey, talking about how the universe provides when you're aligned with your purpose. The universe hadn't provided anything. I had, our grandmother had, and Sophia had taken it all while I'd been addressing wedding invitations and believing in family loyalty. I wiped my eyes and cracked my knuckles. The librarian in me was devastated, but the cybersecurity expert was furious. Time to see exactly how deep this betrayal went. I opened my secure partition and launched a custom script I'd built for tracing financial fraud, something I'd originally designed to help banks identify money laundering patterns. I'd named it Lucia's Light, after our grandmother, thinking it would only ever be used to protect other families from financial criminals. I never imagined I'd be using it to investigate my own sister. The script worked backwards through every digital footprint Sophia had left, cross-referencing timestamps, IP addresses, and device signatures. Within minutes, I had a complete picture of her activities, and it was so much worse than random impulse spending. She'd been planning this for months. The first transfer had been made the same day we'd opened the joint account, a small $500 test to see if I'd notice. When I didn't, she'd grown bolder. The script showed her researching how to transfer large amounts without triggering alerts and sibling financial disputes' legal consequences. She'd known exactly what she was doing. But the technical analysis revealed something even more damaging. She'd been documenting everything. Screenshots of the account balance, photos of her purchases, even screen recordings of herself making the transfers. My blood went cold as I traced the digital breadcrumbs to a private folder on her cloud storage labeled Glow Up Receipts. Inside were hundreds of files, organized by date, showing every step of what she clearly considered her transformation from boring little sister to lifestyle influencer. And at the center of it all was a video file titled Wedding Fund Flex Draft. I hesitated for exactly 3 seconds before clicking play. Sophia's face filled my screen, perfectly lit and camera-ready, sitting in what I now recognized as her new Tesla. Hey, beautiful humans. So I'm about to share something super vulnerable with you, but I think it's important to be real about glow-up journeys, you know. She held up her phone, showing our joint account balance from 3 weeks ago, $73,000. This is my sister's wedding fund. She's always been the responsible one, right? Like, so careful with money, so boring about everything. But here's the thing, she was just going to let this sit here while I'm out here building an empire and creating content that actually inspires people. My hands clenched into fists as she continued. So I've been, redistributing some of these funds towards someone who can actually use them to make a difference. Me, she laughed, that practiced influencer giggle that sounded like breaking glass. I mean, she's marrying Marco, and he's got family money anyway. She'll be fine. But me, I'm one brand partnership away from changing my entire life trajectory. The video cut to her shopping montage, the Chanel bag, the resort suite, the Tesla dealership. All of it set to trending audio about claiming your worth and stepping into abundance. The best part? Sophia's voice continued over footage of her signing the car loan papers. She has no idea. She's so busy with wedding planning and her little library job that she doesn't even check the account. It's like the universe is literally handing me this opportunity. The final segment showed her planning what she called her wedding content strategy. So Isabella's wedding is in 2 weeks, and I'm obviously the maid of honor. I'm thinking this is the perfect opportunity to debut my whole new aesthetic. I'll give some sweet speech about sisterhood. She rolled her eyes, and my followers will get to see the full transformation, from basic sister to main character energy. She leaned closer to the camera, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And honestly, her wedding is going to be so boring without my intervention. She chose asterisk peonies as her signature flower. Peonies. My followers need actual content, not some library-themed Pinterest board come to life. The video ended with her blowing a kiss to the camera and promising to post the wedding transformation reveal after the reception. I sat in the darkness of my office, surrounded by the soft hum of servers and the weight of absolute betrayal. This wasn't just theft, it was a calculated destruction of everything I'd worked for, planned for, hoped for. And she'd turned it into entertainment. Dawn was breaking outside my window when I finally closed the laptop. I'd spent the entire night documenting everything, creating an unbreakable chain of evidence that would hold up in any court of law. The question was, what did I want to do with it? I could call off the wedding, expose Sophia immediately, press charges, let the whole world see who she really was before she had a chance to play the loving sister at my reception. But that would destroy everything. The deposits were non-refundable. The guests were traveling from 3 states away. Marco's family had flown in from Italy. And Mom was so excited about the wedding, about seeing her daughters together on what she called the happiest day of our family's life. Or I could stay silent. Let Sophia give her speech about sisterhood while I smiled and pretended I didn't know she'd stolen our grandmother's legacy. Let her post her transformation content while I started my marriage drowning in debt and watching my mother's condition deteriorate in a facility we could no longer afford. I walked to my bedroom and stared at my wedding dress, hanging like a ghost in the morning light. The French lace had cost $2,800, money I'd saved for months to afford, back when I thought I was building something beautiful instead of funding my sister's delusion. That's when the third option crystallized in my mind. Sophia wanted content. She wanted to be the main character. She wanted to use my wedding as her stage. Fine. But she wasn't going to control the narrative. I was a cybersecurity expert with backdoor access to every digital display in Villa Montclair. I'd personally installed their new AV system 6 months ago as a favor to the owner. And Sophia had just handed me everything I needed to give her exactly the kind of viral moment she'd been chasing. She wanted to be internet famous. I was going to make her wish she'd stayed invisible. 10 days before the wedding, various locations. I'm sorry, Miss Rossi, but we'll need the full balance before we can proceed with delivery. The florist, a kind woman named Patricia who'd worked with our family for years, looked genuinely pained as she delivered the news. We sat in her shop surrounded by the white peonies and eucalyptus that were supposed to transform St. Catherine's into something magical. The check bounced, I asked, though I already knew the answer. Yesterday morning, the bank said insufficient funds. I pulled out my credit card, the one I'd sworn I'd only use for emergencies. Can we put it on this? Of course, dear, that'll be $4,200. The card went through, but barely. I walked out of Patricia's shop with my wedding flowers secured and my available credit slashed to almost nothing. Next stop, Villa Montclair. The venue coordinator, a meticulously organized woman named Catherine, greeted me with the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. Isabella, perfect timing. We need to discuss the final payment. Of course, what's the balance? $18,000, due no later than tomorrow. My stomach dropped. I thought it was 12. The original balance was 12, but there were some additional charges. Your sister requested several upgrades, premium linens, extended bar service, and some very specific AV equipment for what she called professional documentation. I closed my eyes, feeling the walls close in. Can I put it on a card? We can split it across multiple cards if needed. 20 minutes later, I'd maxed out 2 more credit cards and opened a new one on the spot just to cover the remaining balance. The interest rates were predatory, but what choice did I have? Cancel the wedding and lose everything anyway. My final stop was the most humiliating. Asking my family friend Maria Benedetti if she could delay payment for the catering until after our honeymoon. Just a small cash flow issue, I lied, sitting in Maria's warm kitchen that smelled like garlic and basil. Some bank transfer delays. Maria studied my face with the sharp eyes of someone who'd raised 5 children and run a successful business for 30 years. Isabella, cara mia, you look terrible. When's the last time you slept? I'm fine, just wedding stress. This is not wedding stress, this is something else. She leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm. What's really happening? For a moment, I almost told her everything. Maria had known our family since before Sophia and I were born. She'd catered Nana's funeral, had held me while I cried about Mom's diagnosis. If anyone would understand. But the narrative was already set in my mind. I would handle this myself. I would expose Sophia when the time was right, not before. Just some family drama, I said finally. Nothing I can't handle. Maria nodded, but her eyes said she wasn't buying it. The catering is taken care of, don't worry. But Isabella, if you need help, real help, you call me. Capus. 2 days before the wedding, 7:30 p.m. The rehearsal dinner was supposed to be intimate, just immediate family, and the wedding party at Marco's favorite Italian restaurant. His father, Robert Chen, had insisted on hosting, and the private dining room glowed with warm light and the promise of celebration. Sophia arrived 20 minutes late, making an entrance in a dress that cost more than most people's monthly salary. She documented every moment of her getting ready process on Instagram, turning our family dinner into content for her followers. Sorry, traffic was insane. She kissed my cheek, leaving a perfect lipstick print that she immediately photographed. You look beautiful, sister, so classic. The way she said, classic, made it sound like a polite way of saying boring. Marco's parents had flown in from San Francisco, and his brother Vincent, a cybersecurity analyst at a major tech firm, was visiting from Seattle. I'd been looking forward to meeting them properly, but now I felt like I was performing in a play where I didn't know my lines. Robert Chen stood to give a toast, his voice warm with genuine affection. To family unity, and to Isabella and Marco as they begin their journey together. In our family, we believe that marriage isn't just about two people, it's about two families choosing to support each other through everything life brings. The words hit like arrows: family unity, support through everything, the exact values Sophia had twisted into justification for her betrayal. That's when my phone rang. Patricia, the florist's name, appeared on the screen, and my blood turned to ice. I tried to silence it, but the damage was done. Everyone was looking at me. I'm so sorry, I thought I'd turned it off. Take it, Marco said gently. It might be important. I stepped into the hallway, but the restaurant's acoustics meant everyone could still hear. Isabella, I'm so sorry to call during your dinner, but there's been another problem. The payment you made yesterday was declined. The bank said the card was over limit. My face burned with humiliation. Through the doorway, I could see our families trying to pretend they weren't listening, but the silence was deafening. There must be some mistake. Can I call you back? Of course, dear, but we do need to resolve this before tomorrow morning. I hung up and returned to the table, where Sophia was already standing with her wine glass raised. Poor Bella, she announced to the room with perfect theatrical timing. Wedding planning is just so stressful, isn't it? All those vendors and payments and details. She looked directly at me with those wide, innocent eyes. Don't worry, sister. Whatever crisis this is now, we'll figure it out. Family always comes through for each other. The murmurs of sympathy from Marco's parents made me want to disappear into the floor. Vincent Chen was watching the interaction with the analytical gaze of someone who made his living detecting digital fraud, and I could see the wheels turning behind his eyes. That's very generous of you, Sophia, Robert said diplomatically. Of course, that's what the joint account is for, right? Emergencies and family support. Sophia's smile was radiant as she delivered the killing blow. I'm just so grateful I could contribute to making Bella's dream wedding possible. Same night, 11:45 p.m. Marco found me on the fire escape outside our apartment, still in my rehearsal dinner dress, staring at the city lights through tears I couldn't stop. Bella, he climbed through the window and sat beside me, his presence warm and solid in the cool night air. Talk to me. I can't. You can't talk to me, or you can't talk about whatever's destroying you from the inside. I looked at him, really looked at him. Marco, with his kind eyes and steady hands, who'd never once made me feel like I was too much or not enough. Who'd supported my career, even when he didn't understand why I spent my nights hunting digital criminals. Who'd held me while I cried about Mom's diagnosis and never once suggested it wasn't our problem to solve. He deserved the truth. Sophia stole our wedding fund, all of it, $95,000. The words hung in the air between us like a confession. What? So I told him everything. The joint account, the systematic transfers, the luxury purchases, the social media manipulation. I showed him the Instagram videos, the bank statements, the evidence I'd compiled during those sleepless nights. Marco listened without interrupting, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to cold fury. She's been planning this for months, I finished. And now she's made me look like the crazy one. Everyone thinks I'm having a bridezilla breakdown while she's the supportive sister trying to help. Jesus Christ, Bella. Marco ran his hands through his hair. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I thought I could fix it. Because I thought if I just waited for the right moment, gathered enough evidence. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand, because I was stupid enough to believe family meant something to her. Marco was quiet for a long moment, and I could practically see him processing the information with his engineer's mind, looking for solutions and structural problems. Vincent noticed something was off tonight, he said finally. After dinner, he asked me if everything was okay with your family dynamics. He said Sophia's responses felt performed and that you looked like someone under extreme stress. Your brother thinks I'm falling apart. My brother thinks someone is manipulating the situation, and now I know who. Marco turned to face me fully. Bella, we can't let her get away with this. What choice do I have? The wedding is in 36 hours. If I expose her now, it destroys everything, your parents' trip, the vendors, the guests. So we get married, and then we destroy her. Something in his tone made me look up. Marco's jaw was set in a way I'd never seen before, and his eyes held a cold calculation that reminded me why he'd been so successful in his field. What do you mean? You're a cybersecurity expert, Bella. You've taken down financial criminals who were way more sophisticated than your sister. You have skills she doesn't even know exist. He took my hands in his. So we let her give her speech. We let her think she's one. And then we show everyone exactly who she really is. Wedding day, 6:30 am*. My phone was ringing before I was fully awake. Villa Montclair's number appeared on the screen, and my stomach immediately clenched. Miss Rossi, this is Antonio Ferretti, the venue manager. I'm afraid we have a situation. I sat up in bed, instantly alert. What kind of situation? The final payment check bounced. The bank said the account was closed. That's impossible. I paid with credit cards 2 days ago. Yes, but your sister submitted a check yesterday for what she called additional AV upgrades. When it bounced, it triggered a review of your account, and Antonio's voice was pained. I'm very sorry, Miss Rossi, but our policy requires all payments to clear before we can proceed with setup. I was already pulling on clothes, my mind racing. How much do you need? The bounce check was for $8,000 plus the bank fees. Call it $8,500 to clear everything up. Marco appeared in the doorway, already dressed, holding 2 cups of coffee. He'd heard enough of the conversation to understand. We'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. The drive to Villa Montclair passed in tense silence. Marco had his emergency credit card ready, but we both knew this was the last of our financial reserves. After today, we'd be starting our marriage buried in debt that would take years to climb out of. Antonio met us in the main hall, where workers were supposed to be setting up chairs and hanging the floral arrangements that were currently wilting in the service hallway. I'm so sorry about this, he said as Marco handed over his card. Your sister seemed so confident that the payment would go through. She mentioned something about ensuring proper documentation for her brand partnerships. What exactly did she upgrade? I asked. The AV system, primarily. She wanted multiple camera angles, professional lighting rigs, and wireless connectivity for live streaming. She said it was essential for capturing the authentic family moments. Antonio paused. She also mentioned wanting to make sure the main display screen was prominently positioned for her speech. My blood chilled. Sophia wasn't just planning to use my wedding for content, she was staging it like a production. The new system is quite sophisticated, Antonio continued as the payment processed. Though I should mention, we had to patch it into our original electrical grid from the 1920s. The building's historic, you understand. The electrician warned that the old wiring can be temperamental under heavy digital loads. Marco and I exchanged glances. He squeezed my hand as Antonio handed back his credit card. Thank you for understanding, Antonio said. We'll have everything ready by 11. Though I do hope the weather holds, there's a storm system moving in this afternoon. Wedding day, 2:30 p.m. I stood in the bridal suite at Villa Montclair, watching my reflection in the antique mirror as my makeup artist applied the finishing touches. The dress fit perfectly, the hair was elegant, the flowers were finally in place. Everything looked exactly as I'd dreamed. But I felt like I was preparing for battle instead of a wedding. You look absolutely radiant, gushed the photographer Sophia had insisted we hire, a young man who spent more time setting up ring lights than actually taking pictures. Through the window, I could see guests arriving, Marco's family mingling with mine in the garden. Mom was in her wheelchair by the fountain, looking more beautiful than I'd seen her in years. She'd been so excited about today, about seeing her daughters together, about the promise of new beginnings. "I'm going to check on the ceremony setup," I told my maid of honor squad, 3 college friends who'd been relegated to background roles the moment Sophia appointed herself as the star of the show. I made my way downstairs, my dress rustling against the marble steps. The main hall had been transformed exactly as I'd envisioned, white peonies and eucalyptus everywhere, soft lighting, elegant simplicity. But Sophia's additions were impossible to miss. Professional cameras mounted on tripods, ring lights positioned for optimal content capture, and dominating the space behind the head table, a massive display screen that definitely hadn't been in my original plans. I was admiring the floral arrangements when I heard Sophia's voice coming from the adjacent parlor. The door was slightly ajar, and something in her tone made me freeze. "Going to be absolutely perfect for the comeback story," she was saying. "The whole supportive sister saves the day narrative has been performing so well, but tonight's when I really debut the new brand." I pressed closer to the door, my heart hammering. "The speech is going to be epic," Sophia continued, and I could hear the distinctive sound of her setting up a live stream. "I've got some really authentic family tea to spill, but I'm framing it as like learning to forgive and grow together. My followers are going to eat it up." "What kind of tea?" asked a voice I recognized as her videographer, another young influencer she'd hired to document her journey. "Oh, just some drama about money and wedding stress. Nothing too specific, but enough to create some authentic emotion. The key is to make it seem like I'm being vulnerable while actually showing how mature and gracious I am." My hands clenched into fists, crushing the silk of my dress. "And the best part," Sophia's voice dropped to an excited whisper, "is that all these wedding guests are going to be perfect background extras for my content. Like, look at this venue. Look at these people. This is the kind of aesthetic my brand has been missing." "Are you going to tag everyone?" "Obviously. I mean, Marco's family has serious money. His dad's connections alone could open so many doors, and some of these guests are exactly the demographic I need to reach." Sophia laughed, that crystalline sound that now made my skin crawl. "Honestly, Isabella has no idea how to leverage an opportunity like this, but that's why I'm here." I stood frozen in the hallway, listening to my sister reduce my wedding, our family's most important day, to a networking opportunity and content creation session. She wasn't just planning to steal my money, she was planning to steal my entire wedding and turn it into a performance for her personal brand. "The timing is perfect too," Sophia continued. "I'll give the speech, get all emotional about sisterhood and family bonds, and then transition into the big reveal about my glow-up journey. By tomorrow morning, this video will be everywhere." "What if your sister gets upset?" "Please, Bella's way too polite to cause a scene at her own wedding. She'll just smile and take it like she always does. That's what makes her such a perfect supporting character in my story." Supporting character, in my own wedding, in my own life. That's when I noticed the small device Sophia had connected to the main AV system, a wireless transmitter that would let her control the display screen from her phone. She wasn't just planning to give a speech. She was planning to turn my reception into her personal broadcast studio. I backed away from the door, my mind crystal clear for the first time in weeks. Sophia wanted to control the narrative. She wanted to use my wedding as her stage. She wanted to turn my family into content for her followers. Fine. But she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I was the one who'd installed that AV system. I had administrative access to every display, every camera, every digital component in this building. And in exactly 3 hours, when Sophia stepped up to that microphone to deliver her performance about sisterhood and family bonds, I was going to give her the kind of viral moment she'd never forget. She wanted to be the main character. I was about to make her the villain of her own story. Wedding day, 2 hours 15 minutes before ceremony. I was adjusting my grandmother's pearl earrings when I heard my own voice crying. It was coming from Sophia's phone, which she'd left on the vanity table while she touched up her lipstick. The screen showed her Instagram story draft, and there I was, sobbing, broken, pouring my heart out about Mom's condition and our financial struggles. "Sophia, what is this?" She glanced over, completely unbothered. "Oh, just some content prep. Don't worry, I edited out the boring parts." My hands shook as I grabbed her phone. The audio was crystal clear. My voice from last week when I'd finally broken down and told her about the medical bills, about how scared I was that we couldn't afford Mom's care much longer. "You recorded me when I was crying about Mom." "Only the good parts." Sophia capped her lipstick with a satisfied click. "The caption's going to be amazing. Sometimes family drama gets real full story coming tonight. My engagement rates have been insane since I started posting authentic family content." I scrolled through her drafts folder. Hours of audio, videos of me looking exhausted, screenshots of our text conversations where I'd begged her to help me understand what happened to the money. "You've been recording everything." "Content creation is a full-time job, Bella. You have to capture authentic moments when they happen." She turned to face me, her expression as serene as a saint's. "Besides, people love vulnerability. Your breakdown videos are performing way better than my lifestyle content ever did." The phone slipped from my numb fingers. Sophia caught it smoothly, like she'd been expecting my reaction. "Don't look at me like that. I'm building something here. A brand that actually matters. Your little emotional moments are helping me connect with thousands of people." Those were private conversations. "Nothing's private anymore, sister. That's the world we live in." She checked her reflection one final time. "You should be grateful. I'm making your pain meaningful." Wedding day, immediately after discovery. The drive to Sunset Care Facility took 18 minutes. 18 minutes to compose myself, to figure out how to destroy my mother's dreams with grace. I found Mom in the garden, wearing the blue dress we'd bought for the wedding. She was practicing her mother-of-the-bride smile, the one she'd been perfecting for weeks. "Isabella, shouldn't you be getting ready? You look beautiful, sweetheart." I sat on the bench beside her wheelchair, taking her hands in mine. They were thinner than last month, the tremor slightly more pronounced. "Mom, we need to talk about Sunrise Manor." Her face lit up. "Oh, did they call? Are we moving the date up?" "We're not moving." The words came out flat, emotionless. "We can't afford it anymore." I watched the light die in her eyes. Watched hope crumble into confusion, then understanding, then resignation. "The wedding expenses?" she asked quietly. I couldn't tell her about Sophia. Not today. Not when she was about to watch her daughters together at what she thought would be the happiest day of our family's life. Some unexpected costs came up. "I'm sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry." She was quiet for a long moment, staring at the garden where she'd been planning to say goodbye to this place forever. "It's okay, sweetheart. This place isn't so bad, and I have you." "Mom." "No," she squeezed my hands with what strength she had left. "Today is your wedding day. Today is about joy and new beginnings. We'll figure out the rest later." She reached up to touch my face, and I saw tears in her eyes that she was trying so hard to hide. "I'm proud of you, Isabella. So proud of the woman you've become. Your father would have been proud too." I held her for a long time, memorizing the feel of her arms around me, the scent of her perfume, the sound of her saying she was proud of me even as I failed to protect her from everything that was coming. When I left, she was still practicing her mother-of-the-bride smile. Wedding day, 1 hour before ceremony. "Patricia, please tell me you have good news." I was driving back to the venue, my attorney Patricia Morrow on speakerphone, my last hope for legal justice crumbling in real time. "I'm sorry, Isabella. I've reviewed everything you sent me, and while Sophia clearly violated the spirit of your agreement, the legal reality is complicated. She stole $95,000. She accessed a joint account that you both legally controlled. The emergency clause you signed gives either party broad discretionary powers during what they deem a crisis." Patricia's voice was gentle but firm. Sophia documented her mental health struggles extensively on social media. She could argue she was in crisis and needed funds for treatment. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Treatment, she bought a Tesla, which she could claim was necessary for her recovery and business development. I know it sounds insane, but influencer income is increasingly recognized as legitimate business revenue. What about the recordings, the privacy violations? You're in a one-party consent state. As long as she was part of the conversations, recording them was legal. Patricia paused. Isabella, I've been doing this for 15 years. Even if we had a perfect case, recovery would take 3 to 5 years and cost more than you'd likely recover. I pulled into the Villa Montclair parking lot and sat in my car, watching guests arrive for my wedding while my last hope evaporated. So she just gets away with it. The legal system isn't designed for this kind of family manipulation. I'm sorry, I know that's not what you wanted to hear. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my car for exactly 60 seconds. Then I opened my laptop and began typing code. If the legal system couldn't touch Sophia, I'd have to handle this myself. Wedding day, 45 minutes before ceremony. I found Marcus in the villa's wine cellar, adjusting his tie and looking like he wanted to punch something. How did it go with your mom? He asked. Exactly as badly as you'd expect. I set my laptop on an ancient wine barrel and began pulling up files. The legal route is dead too. Patricia says we have no case. So what's the plan? I looked at my husband-to-be, this man who'd stood by me through everything, who'd maxed out his credit cards to save our wedding, who was ready to start our marriage buried in debt because of my sister's betrayal. I'm going to destroy her. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you need? I opened my digital arsenal, every piece of evidence I'd compiled, every transaction record, every social media post, every recorded conversation where Sophia admitted her manipulation. I need access to the AV system during her speech. I can trigger everything from here, but I need someone to monitor the network and make sure nothing goes wrong. Marcus studied the setup, his engineer's mind immediately understanding the scope of what I was planning. You want to hijack her moment. I want to give her exactly what she's been asking for, viral fame, just not the kind she was expecting. He found the network access panel behind a rack of vintage Chianti and began connecting his tablet to the villa's infrastructure. The system's more sophisticated than I expected, he said, scrolling through network diagnostics. Sophia really did upgrade everything for maximum broadcast capability. She wanted to make sure her speech would be perfectly documented for her followers. Well, it's going to be documented all right. Marcus looked up from his tablet. Bella, are you sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back. She's still your sister. I thought about Mom practicing her smile in the garden, about the recordings of my most vulnerable moments, about Sophia laughing as she called my wedding boring and my pain content. She stopped being my sister the moment she decided I was just a supporting character in her story. Marcus nodded and returned to his setup. Then, let's make sure she gets the ending she deserves. Wedding day, 20 minutes before ceremony. Bella, we have a problem. Marcus's voice was tight with frustration as he stared at his tablet screen. I looked over his shoulder and felt my blood turn to ice. The AV system was locked down, completely. What happened? Sophia must have had someone install additional security protocols. The whole system is encrypted now, and it's not responding to any of our access codes. I pulled up my own diagnostic tools, fingers flying across the keyboard. Every pathway I'd mapped out was blocked. Every backdoor I'd installed was sealed. She knew, I whispered. Somehow she knew I'd try this. Look at this. Marcus pointed to a message that had appeared on his screen. Unauthorized access detected. System locked for security. Contact administrator for override. Who's the administrator? Marcus pulled up the system registry, and there it was. Sophia Rossi, listed as primary administrator with full control over all AV functions. I stared at the screen, feeling the walls close in. In 15 minutes, guests would be seated. In 20 minutes, Sophia would take the microphone and deliver her performance about sisterhood while broadcasting her lies to thousands of followers. And I had no way to stop her. There has to be another way, Marcus said. Some other access point, some other system we can use. I ran through every possibility in my mind. The old electrical grid Antonio had mentioned, the wireless transmitters, the backup systems. Nothing, Sophia had thought of everything. My laptop screen reflected my face, pale, desperate, defeated. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt truly powerless. But then I remembered something Antonio had said during our final payment meeting. Something about the building's historic electrical grid and how it could be temperamental under heavy digital loads. I looked at Marcus, a slow smile spreading across my face. "She may control the AV system," I said quietly, "but she doesn't control the power grid. Sometimes the best way to win a digital war is to go analog." Wedding day, 15 minutes before ceremony begins. I stared at the locked AV system, Sophia's digital fortress mocking me from the screen. But then Antonio's words echoed in my mind. The old wiring can be temperamental under heavy digital loads. A slow smile spread across my face as I remembered something from my childhood. Countless summers spent in this very villa when Nana would bring us here for family celebrations. I'd always been fascinated by the old electrical panels hidden behind ornate tapestries, the way the lights would flicker when too many appliances ran at once. "Marcus, I need you to find the main electrical panel. It should be in the basement, probably behind the wine storage." "What are you thinking?" "Sophia may control the software, but I'm about to remind her that hardware always wins." I opened my laptop's diagnostic tools, pulling up the building's electrical schematics I'd studied when installing the original system. She's running professional cameras, ring lights, wireless transmitters, and that massive display screen all on a grid designed in the 1920s. I traced the power flow patterns, calculating load distribution and identifying the exact circuit that fed Sophia's equipment. My grandmother had always said the Rossi women were survivors. We adapted, we overcame, we used every tool at our disposal. If I can create a controlled power surge at exactly the right moment, it'll bypass every digital security protocol she's installed. The system will reboot into emergency mode, and I'll have about 90 seconds of administrative access before her locks re-engage. Marcus found the electrical panel and sent me photos. Perfect. The same analog switches and copper wiring I remembered from childhood. No digital locks, no remote access, just pure mechanical control. 90 seconds to upload everything. 90 seconds to destroy her completely. I began preparing the evidence package, every transaction record, every recorded conversation, every social media post that revealed her true nature. She wanted to turn my wedding into her personal broadcast studio. Let's give her followers a show they'll never forget. Wedding day, ceremony beginning. The ceremony was flawless, exactly as I dreamed it would be. Marco and I exchanged vows under an arch of white peonies while our families watched with tears in their eyes. For 37 minutes, I forgot about everything except the man I was marrying and the promises we were making to each other. But as guests began transitioning to the reception hall, my focus shifted to the battlefield Sophia had unknowingly prepared for me. I watched her work the crowd like the professional she'd become, positioning herself for maximum camera angles, ensuring her ring lights caught the perfect glow, live streaming every candid moment to her followers. She'd changed into a different dress, something that photographed better, she'd explained, and was documenting everything with the precision of a military operation. "Beautiful humans, we are living for this reception energy," she announced to her phone, making sure to capture the elegant venue in the background. "The bride looks amazing, the family vibes are so pure, and I'm about to share something really vulnerable about sisterhood that I think will touch your hearts." I positioned myself at the head table, where I could see the main display screen Sophia had installed. Her biggest critics were already seated directly in front of it. Marco's tech-savvy brother Vincent, my sharp-eyed friend Maria Benedetti, and several family members who'd always been suspicious of Sophia's sudden lifestyle upgrade. "The live stream is pulling serious numbers," Sophia whispered to her videographer, not realizing how well sound carried in the marble hall. 12,000 viewers and climbing. This speech is going to break the internet. She was right about that, just not in the way she expected. I caught Marcus's eye across the room. He was positioned near the basement entrance, ready to execute our plan. My laptop was hidden beneath the head table, already connected to the building's network and loaded with everything I needed. Sophia approached the microphone stand, her smile radiant as she prepared to deliver the performance of her lifetime. She had no idea she was about to become the star of her own destruction. Wedding reception, maid of honor speech begins. Sophia tapped the microphone with practiced ease, her voice carrying across the reception hall with the confidence of someone who'd never doubted her own importance. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Sophia, Isabella's sister and maid of honor. She paused for the warm applause, her eyes sparkling under the professional lighting she'd arranged. I have to say, seeing my sister so happy today has filled my heart in ways I can't even express. I watched her performance with cold fascination. Every gesture was calculated, every pause designed for maximum emotional impact. She was wearing our grandmother's pearl earrings, the ones Nana had specifically left to me, and they caught the light as she moved. Family means everything to us Rossi women, Sophia continued, her voice taking on that practiced vulnerability her followers loved. Our grandmother always taught us that in times of crisis, we support each other unconditionally. No questions asked, no judgment, just pure love and trust. The irony was so thick I could taste it. Several guests nodded appreciatively, completely unaware they were watching a masterclass in manipulation. And I have to be honest with all of you, these past few months have been challenging for our family. There have been misunderstandings, financial pressures, moments when I wasn't sure we'd make it to this beautiful day. She was setting up her narrative perfectly, positioning herself as the sister who'd overcome adversity to support her struggling sibling. I could see her follower count climbing on her phone screen, 15,000 viewers and growing. But that's what family does. We show up, we sacrifice, we put each other first even when it's hard. Sophia's voice began to break with practiced emotion. I want everyone to know that I would do anything, anything, to ensure my sister's happiness. I looked at Marcus and nodded once. He disappeared toward the basement. So as I stand here today, wearing our grandmother's earrings that represent generations of Rossi women supporting each other through everything life could throw at us, I want to say. The lights flickered once, twice. Sophia paused, confused, as murmurs rippled through the crowd. Then every screen in the building blazed to life. Mid-speech, the revelation moment. The massive display screen behind Sophia erupted with evidence that hit the crowd like a physical blow. First, our grandmother's photograph appeared, the formal portrait from her funeral, dignified and proud. Then, in stark black and white, the bank statement showing our joint account balance, $95,000. Animated arrows began tracing the money's path, each transfer highlighted in blood red. August 15th, transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, 8500 *. August 18th, transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, 12000 *. August 22nd, transfer to Sophia Rossi personal account, 6750 *. The crowd gasped as the transfers continued, a devastating slideshow of systematic theft. Sophia spun around to stare at the screen, her face draining of color as her crimes played out in real time for 200 wedding guests and 15,000 live stream viewers. "What is this?" she whispered into the microphone, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. The screen shifted to show her luxury purchases, the Chanel bag, the Tesla, the Maui resort photos, each one tagged with its exact cost and purchase date. Then came the recorded audio, Sophia's own voice crystal clear through the venue's premium sound system. She won't even notice. She's so busy with wedding planning and her little library job that she doesn't even check the account. It's like the universe is literally handing me this opportunity. A collective intake of breath rippled through the crowd. Vincent Chen was already recording everything on his phone, his cybersecurity training recognizing the authenticity of the evidence. But I wasn't finished. The final image appeared on screen, a giant screenshot of a text message from Sophia to her friend. The timestamp showing it was sent just 3 hours ago. About to give this speech about sisterhood while wearing the earrings I took from Bella's jewelry box. She won't even notice. It's my time to shine. Sophia's hands flew to her ears, touching the pearls that had belonged to our grandmother, that she'd stolen from my room that very morning. The gesture was captured by every camera in the room, broadcast live to thousands of viewers who were watching her world implode in real time. "Turn it off," she screamed, lunging for the AV controls. But the system was locked in emergency broadcast mode, beyond her reach, beyond anyone's control except mine. The screen flickered once more, displaying a final message in elegant script. "In memory of Lucia Rossi, who taught us that family means protecting each other from those who would steal our legacy." Immediately following the revelation, Sophia stood frozen at the microphone, her perfect facade crumbling as her follower count plummeted in real time on her phone screen. 15,000 viewers became 12,000, then 8,000, then 5,000 as people realized they were watching someone's complete destruction. "This is fake," she whispered, then louder. "This is all fake. She's trying to destroy me." But Vincent Chen was already standing, his voice cutting through her protests with the authority of someone who made his living analyzing digital evidence. "The metadata is authentic," he announced to the room. "Bank transfers, timestamps, IP addresses, everything checks out. This is real." Marco's father Robert stood next, his face grave with disappointment. "Sophia, these are very serious accusations. Wire fraud, theft from family members." "It's not theft," Sophia's voice cracked with desperation. "It was a joint account. I had legal access." "To steal your sister's wedding fund?" Maria Benedetti's voice carried the sharp edge of someone who'd raised 5 children and could spot a lie from orbit. "To take money meant for your mother's medical care." The room erupted in murmurs of shock and disgust. Sophia's livestream chat was exploding with comments. "OMG, she actually stole from her sister. This is insane, unfollowing right now. Imagine stealing from your family's medical fund. Screenshot everything before she deletes." Sophia's phone buzzed with a notification that made her face go ashen. She looked at the screen, then at the crowd, then back at the screen. "My manager just dropped me," she whispered into the microphone, her words carrying to everyone. "My brand partnerships, they're all pulling out." The woman who'd spent months building her empire of lies watched it collapse in real time. Her follower count continued its freefall: 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Comments poured in from former fans who felt betrayed, from family friends who recognized the venue and our relatives, from strangers who were screen recording everything for their own social media. Sophia had wanted to go viral. She'd achieved her dream in the most spectacular way possible. Directly after Sophia's meltdown, I stood slowly, my wedding dress rustling in the sudden silence. Every eye in the room turned to me as I walked to the microphone with the calm dignity of someone who'd finally found her voice. "Thank you all for being here to celebrate what should have been the happiest day of my life," I said, my voice steady and clear. "I'm sorry you had to witness this, but I couldn't let Sophia continue to profit from lies about our family." Sophia was backing away from the head table, tears streaming down her face, her perfect makeup finally ruined. "Sophia," my voice stopped her retreat, "the earrings." She touched the pearls again, her hands shaking. "Bella, please. Those belonged to our grandmother. They were left to me in her will. Take them off." The request hung in the air like a judgment. Sophia's fingers fumbled with the clasps, her movements jerky and desperate. When she finally removed the earrings, her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped them. I took the pearls, warm from her skin, tainted by her lies, and felt their weight in my palm. 3 generations of Rossi women had worn these earrings. They deserved better than to be props in Sophia's performance. "The money Sophia stole was meant to move our mother into a specialized care facility," I continued, addressing the room. "Elena Rossi has multiple sclerosis, and the treatment she needs costs more than we can afford. That inheritance from our grandmother was her last hope for proper care." Maria Benedetti stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the marble floor. She grabbed a champagne flute and raised it high. "I'm starting a fund for Elena right now," she announced, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd organized half the community fundraisers in the past decade. "Who's with me?" The response was immediate and overwhelming. Robert Chen pulled out his checkbook. Vincent was already setting up a Venmo account on his phone. Guests began reaching for their wallets, their phones, their purses. "Count us in for 5,000, called out my college roommate Sarah. "The Benedetti family will match whatever we raise tonight," Maria declared. Sophia watched in horror as the room mobilized around me, as her victims became my supporters, as her audience became my army. This wasn't how her story was supposed to end. Later that evening, reception winding down. Sophia had fled hours ago, her live stream ended, her social media accounts already being dissected by internet sleuths who'd screen-recorded everything. The last I'd seen of her, she was being escorted out by security after trying to steal centerpieces she claimed she'd paid for with her own money. I stood on the villa's terrace with Marco, watching the last guests filter out into the night. The fundraiser for Mom had raised over $30,000, enough to cover her first year at Sunrise Manor. Maria was already making calls to get her admitted within the week. "You know what the best part is," Marco said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. "What?" She live-streamed her own destruction. There's no way she can spin this or claim it was edited. 15,000 people watched her commit social suicide in real time. I leaned back against his chest, feeling the weight of the day finally settling on my shoulders. I almost feel bad for her. "Do you?" I considered this, sliding the pearl bracelet from my wrist, another piece of Nana's jewelry I'd worn for luck. As the bracelet fell away, it revealed the small, intricate circuit board tattoo on my wrist, the one I'd gotten after landing my first major cybersecurity contract. "Sophia thought my only asset was our grandmother's inheritance," I said, tracing the delicate lines of the tattoo with one finger. "She forgot about mine." Marco laughed, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Remind me never to cross a white-hat hacker." "Too late, you're stuck with me now." My phone buzzed with a text from Vincent. "Talk to my contact at the FBI's cybercrime unit. They're very interested in Sophia's case. Wire fraud across state lines, documented intent, multiple victims. She's looking at serious federal charges." I showed Marco the message. He whistled low. "She really thought she could outsmart you. She thought I was just the quiet librarian who'd never fight back." I turned in his arms, looking back at the villa where our wedding had become Sophia's courtroom. She forgot that the best hackers are the ones you never see coming. Through the windows, I could see the cleaning crew taking down Sophia's professional lighting equipment, dismantling the stage she'd built for her own downfall. Tomorrow, the internet would be dissecting every frame of her live-streamed confession. Her face would be a meme, her name synonymous with family betrayal and social media narcissism. She'd wanted to be famous. Mission accomplished. "Come on, Mrs. Chen," Marco said, using my new name for the first time. "Let's go start our life together." As we walked back toward the villa, I slipped Nana's pearl earrings into my ears where they belonged. They felt different now, not just like jewelry, but like armor. Like a reminder that the Rossi women had always been survivors, and I'd just proven I was worthy of the name. Sophia had taught me something valuable tonight. Sometimes the best way to protect your family is to show the world exactly who threatens them. And sometimes justice tastes like champagne and sounds like applause.
Isabella, thank you for sharing how you turned betrayal into a powerful stand for family truth. This story shows us that protecting loved ones sometimes means unveiling the manipulators among us, no matter how close. What would you have done in Isabella's shoes? Comment below, and if stories like this move you, like and subscribe for more. I'm Eliza Quinn, and remember, here on Wedding Day Justice veils off, justice on.